we have got 13 brand spanking new, super OP powerful tier 6 infantry and ranged units to test out. And the way we're going to test these units is, of course, pit them against 1,000 disgusting peasants. First unit we'll be testing is the Legionary unit. Now this unit is from the Empire and it is a tier 6 infantry unit with a sword and a shield, and it's upgraded from the Imperial Legionary, which is a tier 5 unit. So you get your tier 5 unit Imperial Legionary, then you upgrade to the tier 6 Legionary. And the main noticeable difference from this upgrade is the athletic skill goes from 130 to 250. That is a giant increase. That means he's going to be faster, he's going to move quicker, and he's just going to be generally better all around. And the most notable upgrade is the one-handed skill. So the Imperial Legionary, which is tier 5, has 130 for their one-handed skill. And the Legionary, this tier 6 unit, has 280 for their one-handed. That is a massive increase, and it means that they're going to hit harder, they're going to hit faster, and they're going to hit way better than the tier 5 unit. These units have all came from the Special Units Plus mod. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out the Steam store and you can download this mod to get every single unit that we're reviewing today. That Legionary bar has dwindled down so fast. My goodness, the peasants just completely tore them apart. Wow, they didn't even get down to halfway. That was super impressive. Okay, 377 kills. Not that great from the Legionaries, they're not great. But these guys, the Huscarls, they're probably one of my favorite tier 6 units of this update. These guys are super scary, man. They've got a big two-handed axe, and look at that. They are just chopping away like no one's business. I think these guys, to be honest, are probably going to be able to win this because that two-handed weapon is so huge and so powerful. What happens is they basically, if they swing from left or right, it does like an AoE swing, and I think I've seen it kill 3 peasants before where they just, I mean, look at that guy, he just got oh, they just got absolutely slaughtered. The Huscarl has 240 for his athletics and 280 for his two-handed. So again, that is going to be some serious slicing action. And if you don't know Mountain Blade Bannerlord 2 very well, so if you upgrade the two-handed skill, it increases your weapon speed and it increases your weapon damage. These guys having 280 for their two-handed skill is a huge increase. It's probably about 15-20% weapon speed and probably around 40-50% two-handed weapon damage, somewhere around there. So it's a huge increase. They're going to kill these peasants in one hit easily. Unfortunately, the Decapitate mod does not work in custom battles. Otherwise, this would be hilarious. You'd see heads chopping off, you'd see arms flying around, you'd see legs flying around everywhere, and it would be so much more satisfying to watch their body absolutely fly apart as these Huscarls completely tear apart these peasants. But that bar up there is not looking great for these Sturgians. There's a lot of peasants left. I'm not sure how this one's going to unfold. So these Huscarls, as well as having attack speed bonus and a damage bonus with his two-handed weapon, they're also much better. If you can see how they're blocking, they're way better at blocking, so they are going to be reading these peasants' hits much easier. It's only when the peasants get this around that they might be able to take out a couple. You can see there, that guy. Oh no, you got taken out. That was close. But it looks like the Huscarls are starting to run. I think they're chasing down some of the peasants that kind of got away, and it looks like that bar at the top is, I mean, if there's 100 for the Sturgians, there's probably maybe 10-15 left, and there's probably about 100. Oh, those guys right away just getting chopped down and getting slaughtered, and it looks like this could be the final battle. This is going to be the battle that decides who wins this. Let's see who wins. Come on, Huscarls, you can do it. Oh, there's a couple of peasants. If they can get this around here, they might win, but the Huscarls are chopping through. Oh, one of them just died. No, they might. Are they going to win? Are they going to win? I don't know. It's going to be super close. They're chopping away at those peasants. Oh, yeah, slaughter them. Oh, he got a double kill. My god, man, that axe is so fun to watch. Oh man, another double kill and a chop head. And if they won, yeah, that's it. The peasants are running away. They've won. The Huscarls have actually won. Wow, that is super impressive. And they had 18 left still. Let's move on to the next round, which is the Wildling Warriors. These guys are super strong. and they do have an advantage because they've got a one-handed weapon and a shield and a throwing weapon. They can get off a lot of kills with these throwing axes. I mean, the throwing axes aren't super powerful, they don't have a high damage, but you can see they're managing to get off quite a few kills already. This tier 6 unit is upgraded from the Battanian faction through the Battanian Wildling unit. And the biggest upgrades for this unit are the one-handed skill is upgraded from 120 to 220. That is a huge increase. So again, more attack speed, more damage, and these guys' throwing skill is going to do some serious damage to these peasants. And they're very intelligently running backwards. I've delegated commands to all of these units, so I've basically told them they can do whatever they want, and hopefully the AI is going to be smart enough to do the best tactics. And you can see the peasants are doing their normal strategy, which is basically running head first. What the hell? Did you see that guy? I can't even see where he's gone. Where the hell did he go? He just went friggin' flying across half of the map. I have no idea why, but if you see the kind of peasant wraparound here, this is not good for these Wildling Warriors, because if the peasants can wrap around, and it looks like they might be just a little bit now, this is going to make it much easier for the peasants to hit them from behind and negate that shield. And there's a couple of peasants just kind of running around the side of them. These Battanians are getting really heavily surrounded now. If the peasants just charge in and like charge straight at them, they'll probably sandwich them into a big circle, but this is going to be close. This is close. I'm not sure. The Battanians still have about half left, so they're pretty well armored. They're not dying quick. They really aren't. And they've taken this 1,000 peasant army down to probably 500 by now. Yeah, it must be about 500 going down to 400. And this is going to be a super close one. I don't know who's going to take this. It could go either way. What happens normally is when the reinforcements come in, they can overwhelm the rest of the soldiers that are left. But it looks like the peasants are just kind of taking a merry little walk and slowly getting towards these Battanians. They're in no rush, but there's a nice little one-on-one here. Let's see if this Wildling can actually win. Is he going to win? Let's see. He's got much better skill and he's getting attacked from behind. Look out! Look out behind you! Oh, he got killed. How depressing. His friends are avenging his death, though. That's nice to see. He's got good friends in his fellow soldiers. They're avenging his death. And let's see how these Battanians do. This is going to be close. So it looks like, I don't know if these peasants are running away or they're just walking, because normally if they decide to retreat in the battle, they'll actually sprint away. But these peasants are just walking, and it looks like they're engaging as the Battanians catch up to them. But that is a big army following them. Well, I don't know why these peasants are walking. Oh, they're starting to jog now. It must be where they change formation, they just decide to walk. But these two Battanians are fighting, they're picking off the straddlers, which is probably a good idea. If this guy stops running away, they might actually be able to kill him. But if these peasants turn and fight him, they'll be well outnumbered and they will die. But this is going to be super close. I actually don't know who's going to take this. If I had to guess at this point, because there's so many peasants left, I'd probably say the peasants, because they're like double, I think. Probably that bar is about double, and there are a lot of reinforcements coming in. But these Battanian Wildling Warriors are staying together, which is a really good idea. And if they turn around and throw a couple axes, they might be able to get off a few more kills, but I'm not sure. Let's see what they end up doing. They're running into trees and kind of just changing their formation slightly, and it looks like they're getting a shield already. And this is going to be the last engagement. Yep, this is definitely going to be the last fight. Whoever wins this fight is going to win. And looking at that green bar, it's going down a lot quicker. Like I said, the peasants have the number advantage, and this one, I'm pretty sure, yeah, by now, yeah, that green bar, they're just getting slaughtered. So this one goes to the peasants. Peasants are the winners. Good job, peasants. But let's move on to the Sultan's Gulman. Gulman? I don't know, whatever. They're against this disgusting horde of 1,000 stinky peasants. Excuse me. And again, they've been given their own commands, so they can do whatever they want. And it looks like they've decided to run halfway up a mountain to give themselves, I guess, a better vantage point. I guess getting a better vantage point is important when you're hitting downwards. It's much easier to fight off multiple enemies. But these peasants don't really care about tactics. They just run in like zombies with no brains, and they're just hopefully surround every single unit and hope for the best. But this fight is going pretty well for the Gulman so far. They're keeping a good tight shield wall. It looks like these trees are also helping to keep their formation together, and it stops a lot of the wraparound, it looks like. And because it's actually technically harder for units to run uphill, they run a lot slower, and I think you can actually bug out on some hills. If you can't get up there, you just kind of bug out. That is going to help these Gulmans quite significantly, because the peasants can't get the wraparound. They have to run all the way up the mountain and come back down to kind of come behind these shields, and the shields are really effective at kind of blocking from one direction, and they're not very good at blocking from behind, obviously, because if they're facing one way and you don't have a shield behind you, then you're obviously going to die. But these Gulmans are doing quite well. You can see the amount of peasant bodies there, and if I look at that bar, it looks there's probably about 30 or 40 Gulmans left, and there's still probably a good 250 peasants left, and that's not a great ratio for these Gulmans. And you can see there one of them gets surrounded and hit from each side. That's the problem. When you get surrounded, you just get arse fucked, didn't you? But let's see, this is one of the last engagements probably. I think this engagement will probably decide the fate of this battle, whether it goes to the peasants or the Gulmans. This is going to be super close. I'm not sure who's going to win this one. If I had to bet money right now, I'd probably say the peasants, because they just outnumber them. But a lot of them are starting to run away, it looks like. But being stuck in the trees like this is really helping these Gulmans, I think, because it causes so much confusion. You can see the AI peasant bots just running into trees like, what do I do? Tree cannot compute. They just run into the trees like idiots. Oh, that guy just got smacked in the face and he slid all the way down the hill. Whee! I guess that's a pretty funny bit about fighting on a hill, which I haven't seen too much, to be honest. Not many fights take place on hills like this, so it is fun to see people slide, and at least their final moments of life get to slide down a hill and spend some time having some fun, rather than dying in agony and pain. So that's a good thing about this fight taking place, but this is one of the longer fights. I'm not sure who's going to take this. These Khuzait infantry units are close to 50-50 on that bar up there now, so they probably are going to take this, because in a 50-50 fight, these peasants have literally zero chance to win. And you can see in this last engagement, these Gulmans, they're probably going to take it, to be honest. I'm probably going to make these Gulmans part of my army. They look really, really strong. It looks like they've won this one. Yeah, congratulations, Sultan's Gulman. Well done. 768 kills. Very impressive. And next up, we've got the Imperial Fire Crossbowman, the first ranged unit we're going to be testing today. So what I really like is the fire feature that they've added, the fire effect. And if you can see it, as you get a bit closer, you can see that fire effect taking place. And I have set these guys to delegate their own commands. So let's see what they decide to do. They're keeping a pretty good formation, but they are walking slowly forward, which is not going to help them, because the closer they get, the closer the peasants can melee attack them. But they're doing pretty well so far. The Vlandian Sharpshooters, which are tier 5, I have tested already, and they successfully beat 1,000 peasants. So I will be surprised if these tier 6 units don't beat 1,000. But you never know. Look at all them corpses, my word, they just... I think these tier 6 units can kill the peasants in one, but I'm not sure. It might sometimes take 2 bullets if they hit them on the lower body. And the peasants have made this a melee scrap, and that is going to be really bad. Even though they've got the one-handed sword and a one-handed shield, they still do not want a melee battle. They're much, much more powerful with that crossbow, and you can see there's only a few of them who are actually firing their crossbows still. Most of them have been forced into melee, which is not good at all, and these peasants are starting to overwhelm these fire sharpshooters. Oh dear, that is not good at all. If they kept their formation, they probably would have done quite well. This could still be close, but their numbers right now, if I look at that bar, are probably down to about 30 or so, so that's not great, and there's probably still 200 peasants left. But these peasants, as soon as they get the wraparound, look at that guy just got absolutely slaughtered. There really is just no chance. They just get absolutely mauled, man. That surround is just, that is brutal. That will pretty much kill any unit in the game if there's at least 5 peasants wrapping around hitting you from behind. And you'll be surprised, those scythes actually do quite a lot of damage. The crappy one-handed axes are pretty shite, they don't really do much. The spears also are okay, but those scythes, if they get a good slice on their head, I'm sure it can do like 40 to 50 damage, which is a lot of damage. So if they get a good slice from behind, you can pretty much kill these Imperial's fire crossbowmen in not that many hits. It's not going to take too long. But it looks like, unfortunately, we are down to the last few, and it looks like with this last pack of dirty, filthy reinforcements for the peasants, and the win goes to the peasants, 100%. There's no chance at this point. Well done, peasants, they've managed to win. Next up, we've got the Sturgian Veteran Fire Bowman. These guys are super strong, and again, I have delegated their command to do whatever they like, and it looks like they very stupidly decided to charge forward with each shot, which is going to close the distance even quicker. And as we saw previously, when they did this, it made it a lot harder for the ranged unit to win. And this is obviously a unit from the Sturgian faction, which is upgraded directly from the tier 5 Sturgian Veteran Bowman. The biggest increase with this unit is obviously the bow skill. That goes from 140 to 260. That is a huge increase. And the one-handed skill goes from 120 to 220, and the athletics goes from 130 to 200. Those are the 3 notable changes, and of course that fire effect, which, let's be honest, is the only reason you want to upgrade them. You want that cool fire firing from all your troops. I mean, that's the main reason I would upgrade. But these peasants look like they're gonna overwhelm these Sturgian Veteran Fire Bowmen, and this is probably gonna be a short story, to be honest. These peasants are wrapping around, they're smacking these Sturgian bowmen upside, left, right, downwards. But that's it, the Imperial recruits, also known as peasants, won this one, and they only lost 521 units in the process, so about half. And next up we've got the Aserai Master Fire Archer. This is obviously from the Aserai faction, and is upgraded directly from the tier 5 Aserai Master Archer. The main notable upgrades are, of course, the bow skill, which goes from 160 to 260, so a 100-point increase. That is huge. And the one-handed skill goes from 130 to 220, and the athletics go from 130 to 200. Some of these ranged archer units do have shields, but unfortunately these guys do not have that luxury. Even though the peasants are down to about halfway, so are these Aserai archers, and unfortunately in a melee fight, these peasants are just going to outnumber them. They're definitely going to win an all-out melee battle, which it looks like this is turning into. But unless the Aserai archers can pull something out the bag, which is completely unexpected, I think this one's going to go to the peasants. Unfortunately, these ranged units could not do it. However, on the upside, they still have a really cool bow to fire. I really like all these fire arrow units. The effects are just super cool. I hope they continue making changes like this and add really cool features that just make the game and combat way more fun. If you see a fire arrow flying through the sky, it's way more entertaining than a normal arrow, which you can barely see. So I really like that. I hope they continue doing stuff like this. And it looks like the peasants have won this one. Yeah, and peasants have won. Super easy for them. And how many did they lose? They lost. So the Aserai Master Fire Archers managed to kill 753. That is a lot. They were actually quite close to winning. And next up is the Vlandian Smoke Sharpshooter. These guys are directly upgraded from the Vlandian Sharpshooter tier 5 unit. The main notable upgrades are, of course, the crossbow skill, which goes from 130 all the way to 260 with this upgrade. That is a massive increase. Like I've said before, the Vlandian sharpshooters, so the tier 5 unit, were able to win. And look at that cloud of smoke. Holy moly, that looks so cool. That is actually the coolest ranged fire I have seen in this game. I hope they implement this on all factions so everyone can have their own smoke archers, because it just I mean, look at that. It looks like they're shooting cannons, or they're shooting weapons with gunpowder. It looks so cool. I'm not sure what the actual reason for the smoke is. I don't know whether it's just a cool effect that they've added. I'm not sure whether it gives any kind of benefit, like could possibly disorientate the enemy because there's smoke, so maybe they lose track of vision and they can't actually see the enemies well. I'm not sure. I don't think it does that, but you know, it could be a cool feature in the future if it doesn't actually do that right now. The notes do tell me what the smoke does, but I haven't read them because I'm lazy, so I don't know what they do. But it does look super cool, and let's be honest, that's all that really matters. As long as something looks cool, that's basically all we want. And of course, these Vlandian sharpshooters do have a sword and a shield, so when it comes to melee, which is looking like it's going to be turning into now a melee fight, they are going to have a super advantage against other ranged units as they have the super big shield, and this one is looking pretty close, to be honest. Looking up at that bar, they've got a lot of ranged kills, and they're getting even more ranged kills because there's quite a few of them still firing. You can see that smoke firing left, right as they still fire those crossbow bolts, and it's getting close. If you look at that bar, to about even. There's probably 45, 50 Vlandian smoke sharpshooters left, and there's probably 200 peasants, something like that. This at this point is looking really good for these Vlandians. That I think they can do it. I think they're going to win this one. This is going to be really close. It's going to be down to the wire, but their green bar is absolutely flying down. Why is it going down so quickly? My goodness, the peasants are just, I don't know, taking some steroids or got some adrenaline boost because they've just took out a shed ton of Vlandians. I don't know how that happened. Maybe they just got surrounded on so many soldiers, and it's like this breaking point that the Vlandians couldn't hold anymore. And yeah, that's it. That bar is pretty much zero. The Vlandian smoking sharpshooters could not do it, and the peasants take this one. The peasants are doing quite well against these tier 6 units. 687 kills, not too bad. And next up, we got another Vlandian archer, the Vlandian fire sharpshooter. Again, they follow the exact same upgrade route. You get your Vlandian sharpshooter tier 5, and you can upgrade to the Vlandian fire sharpshooter, or you can choose to upgrade to the Vlandian smoke sharpshooter. So you got two options here. Both of them are crossbows. Both of them are super powerful. Again, very similar to the smoke sharpshooters. You got 260 for their crossbow skill, 220 for their one-handed skill, and 200 for their athletic skill. So pretty straightforward. They're going to be hitting harder, hitting faster, and running faster. It looks like they're holding that formation really well, and I have put them on a slight arch so you can see that every single crossbowman, basically every single one, is able to fire. And look at that fire as it comes out. It looks so cool, man. That effect is just badass. If they had a bigger trail, it would look better, because like a fire trail. It's only got a little one right now, but the actual arrow, if you see, has fire on it. I just think little touches like that make this game just much more fun to play, and it means that your kind of longevity for playing games like this lasts, because they add cool features like this. So you're always going to be excited on what they're going to release next. So I'm looking forward to what other mods are going to come out. I don't know about you guys, but let's see how these Vlandian fire sharpshooters do. These guys again do have the sword and shield combo and super high one-handed skill attribute, so they are going to be pretty formidable in a melee fest. And if I look up at that bar, that looks about even already, which means the peasants are down to about 500 and the Vlandians are down to probably 75 by now. If they can keep this up and they can keep that shield wall in front with the archers firing behind them, they should be able to win this. But I did say that previously and I was wrong, so I could be wrong again. I don't know. Maybe the peasants are going to take them steroids again and get that Adderall boost and go crazy. But it looks like the Vlandians are doing pretty well here. I don't know at this point if this carries on, though. A lot of them are deciding to go into melee combat, which is a really bad idea, because as we've seen with all these battles, they get the surround just like that guy got, and they get sliced in the back of the head and they die. So this isn't looking too... I don't know. This is going to be a close one. This is going to be super close. Who is going to win at this point? If I had to bet, I would bet on the peasants. I think they've just got too many numbers, and as we've seen, when the peasants are down to around this number, all they need to do is pick apart the Vlandians and take them out one by one and get the surround. but it looks like there's some sort of weird formation thing going on with the peasants here, where the Vlandians have managed to kind of get back into their formation, and they've got like a shield wall either side, and the peasants are just kind of standing there eating popcorn. And this is going to be really helpful for these Vlandian fire sharpshooters. This, if they can just hold this line, and you can see this is a final line, almost the final stand from these Vlandian sharpshooters. And if they can just kill enough that they run away before the peasants get there, which might happen, just if they get a couple more kills, the peasants might retreat. And are they going to retreat? No, they're actually going to get in melee combat. Oh my lord, this is down to the wire. Who is going to win? Oh, the peasants are running. Yeah, the peasants are running. Oh my goodness, they actually did it. Well done, Vlandian fire sharpshooters. That was a super long battle, and it was right down to the wire, and there was only 15 left, so that was super close. But next up, we've got the Battanian trained fire archers. These guys are, of course, for the Battanian faction, and these guys are going to be firing arrows at all of these stinky, disgusting peasants. And again, we see that fire effect. It looks super cool. You can see them flying past the screen there. It just looks so cool, the little fire. I would love for it to have some sort of like immolate effect where it sets the peasant on fire if they maybe receive 2 shots, or maybe like 1 good shot, and it causes like a slow DPS and, you know, burns them out. That would be so cool. But I don't know how hard that would be to like code in for these developers. I don't know, but that's just an idea. I think it would be cool. But they're taking out a lot of these peasants, and they're in a good solid formation here on a hill to give them the best advantage possible. And the Battanians also, if you didn't know, have a Battanian Fiend champion, which is also a ranged unit for the Battanians. So these guys are the second tier 6 ranged unit, but the difference between these 2 units is these fire Battanian ranged units only have a one-handed sword. They do not have the Battanian Fiend Champion's super powerful 2-handed sword. And if any of you guys have seen the Battanian Fiend Champions fighting before, those 2-handed weapons are so friggin' strong. They just wipe out peasants like they're not even there. They just absolutely kill them in 1 hit. It's super satisfying to watch, but these Battanians are really not doing very well. That one-handed sword is not doing a lot of damage. I think the problem is it needs 2 or 3 hits for them to kill 1 peasant, and a 2-handed sword needs 1 hit. And you can see this is pretty much lost already. Peasants have taken this one. Unfortunately, the Battanian trained fire archers were not enough for the peasant, and they could not beat them, but they did get 587 kills, so it was okay. They didn't do too bad. But next up, we have the Khuzait fire archers. These guys are, of course, from the Khuzait faction, and they upgraded directly from the Khuzait marksman. Of course, their main upgrade is the bow, which goes from 130 to 260, and the one-handed skill goes from 130 to 200, and their athletics goes from 130 to 200. So they're a bit faster, but the main upgrade is that bow, so they'll be shooting faster and harder. And you can see those fire arrows doing some serious work. Again, headshots are a 100% kill, and I think if there's a good enough torso shot, it can 1-hit kill, but most of the time it's probably going to be a 2-shot kill. But when you have 100 archers all firing at once, you can see they can take out a shed load of peasants. And looking at that bar, they've probably taken out maybe 200 so far, maybe 150, and the numbers are racking up pretty quickly. Those peasants better make some melee combat soon, otherwise these Khuzait fire archers are going to win this one, I think, even just looking at how much they've killed already. They're almost even, and they're keeping a really... This has got to be one of the best formations I've seen, where they're all fighting at the front, and you've got still about 30 to 40 at the back, still firing their bows. But unfortunately, these guys do not have a shield, so they do have a disadvantage to these peasants. They can't block from every angle, and it looks like the peasants are slowly starting to creep closer to these archers. You can see a lot of them are starting to run away, but they are doing some weird formation, these peasants. It looks like they're running back, and then they're running to the side, and all the time they're doing is they're getting picked off by the archers, so it's probably not a good idea to run back and forth in front of archers like this, because you're just going to get picked off. And because I've put these guys right at the back, you can see that red border, that's basically the end of the map. So they're right backed up against the end of the border. So you can see the peasants, if they want to run away, they literally just run to that red line and it makes them disappear, basically. So that's probably a good advantage for these ranged units, because any troops running away can just disappear instantly and they won't have to chase them. But you can see this group of peasants are getting kind of slaughtered now. And oh my god, I just looked at that bar, and that bar is ginormous still from these Khuzait Master Fire Archers. That bar is giant. I think they've done it. Yeah, they've literally done it. Yeah, they've done it. My goodness. I mean, it looks like, if I look in the distance there, I can see like a peasant reinforcement army coming. I mean, at this point, I don't see how these reinforcements can even make it to these archers without getting killed. Because look at them all. They're all just getting picked off. Oh, this is entertaining. Look at those fire bullets, man. That looks so cool with a little smoke trail behind them. It looks super badass, and we're only watching this really for entertainment purposes. These Khuzait fire archers have absolutely decimated these peasants. This was the most impressive victory. 56 of them were left. Holy moly. And oh boy, here we go. This one is going to be fun. I've been looking forward to this one, is why I put it right at the end, because this is going to be super, super fun. We have got the Imperial Knight. So this is, of course, from the Empire faction. So you get the Imperial Cataphract, which is tier 5, and you can upgrade to an Imperial Knight. The difference is this guy has a sword and a shield. I am looking forward to this one because of all the updates and the buffs that cavalry units have had. And what a fantastic shot. Look at that. Look at that. I have to say, these Imperial Knights, they just look friggin' cool. That one-handed sword is absolutely giant. It was almost the size of a two-handed sword. If you haven't seen my cavalry video, I have done 100 cavalry units versus 1,000 peasants. And what happened is a lot of them got stuck in between all of these peasants. And you can see it's kind of happening here, but where these tier 6 units are much, much more powerful. And with that recent update, they should have better AI when fighting in peasant hordes like this. So if they can just charge straight through the middle and get out on the other side, they should have a good chance of doing this. But you can see that they have just got crammed into the middle of that massive horde of stinking peasants, and they are just slicing away like no one's business. Any units that are attacking the shield side, they're just going to donk into the shield, so they've basically got armor on that side, because even if they're just holding it to their side and hitting with their sword on the other side. But this is looking super, super close, and I love that the AI have changed their formation here. They've all just got completely out of that big pack of peasants, gone way to the back, and they're all deciding to charge back in to cause the most amount of damage. Because in real life, I mean, obviously this isn't real life, but in real life, if you have cavalry units, you want them to run out, then charge straight back in where they can do their most damage. And it looks like that's exactly what they're doing. So I'm glad to see this update from patch 1.9, and they've changed the cavalry unit AI. It's really, really noticeable in this battle specifically. I think this is a great change, and the Imperial Knights look really, really strong. I'm looking forward to recruiting them in my army, because they just, I mean, firstly, they just look cool. They just look like proper real knights. And they've got a really cool sword, really cool shield. And you see that guy just went absolutely flying. That was very fun to watch. And I think at this point, if you look at that bar at the top, the Imperial Knights are doing really, really well. They've probably got, I would say that's about 40, 45 left, just under half. And it looks like these peasants are going to be defeated. I think because they're so spread out now, the cavalry units can just charge and smack and charge and smack and just smack them over just like that. And it looks like to me the Imperial Knights have won. Yeah, the peasants are running away like the cowards they are. Wow, that was really impressive. 747 kills. Super, super impressive from the Imperial Knights. And lastly, we have the Aserai Assassin. These guys are tier 6, of course, and they're upgraded directly from the Aserai Veteran Infantry. The most notable upgrades are the throwing skill, which goes from 50 to 280. So these guys are primarily a throwing unit. I think they've got 4 quivers or 3 quivers. So they've got 50. They got like 12. They've probably got like 26 throwing weapons, which is a massive, massive amount of throwing weapons. And look at that. Look at those javelins. They just sent that guy fly and him. Oh man, I love javelins in this game. They are so fun to use, especially on cavalry. If you've got a cavalry unit with a throwing weapon and you throw while you're going top speed, you can send units absolutely flying. I'm sure we'll see a few more of them while these guys are throwing their javelins. And this should be a close one. Unfortunately, these guys don't have a shield. I think they'd be a lot better if they had a shield, but they've only got a one-handed weapon. And these javelins, just by the nature of how slowly they fire, I don't think they're going to be able to kill enough to make a huge difference, but it's going to be fun to watch nonetheless. It doesn't look like it's very effective against swarms of units, probably good against cavalry units, and with a kind of shield wall in front of them, but that's it. Yeah, the peasants won. Thanks so much, guys, for sticking around to the end. Thanks for all the subs and likes and everything else. You guys are friggin' amazing. I love you all, and I will catch you all on the next one. Take it easy, guys. Peace.